But speaking of other hobbies,
Yeah, well, guys, welcome to another episode of Lane Brothers Garage. We're in my chilly garage today. We're here to talk about something that we have both been passionate about since we were little kids, and that is the great Automotive magazine. We wouldn't normally read them in this environment, normally be in the comfort of our home, to curl up in bed with Bernard, reading the car magazine. It's the best. But car magazines are part of automotive history. I don't know if you know this. I didn't know this until recently. The first automotive magazine came out in 1895. And that's Auto Car.
oh, interesting.
Yeah. And there was another one that was called The Horseless Age.
Wow.
And that was before they were sure if automobiles were going to be powered by steam
Right.
or coal or gas.
Absolutely, just developing cars.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Or things with wheels. I think they actually call them auto cars.
Yeah, right.
Well, horseless carriages and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
it's really cool because hand in hand with the actual development of the automobile has been automobile enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
People who are excited about the automobile and saw that there was a potential to build community and to enjoy cars together. You know, one story that I like to share about Hot Rod Magazine. Hot Rod Magazine, founded in January of 1948 by the two Bobs. I forget their names. I think it's Robert Peterson, Robert Lindsay. And these guys came back from the war, and they wanted to have a publishing agency. And who did they work with? Well, they worked with people that were racing hot rods in the California flats.
Yeah. Salt flats.
Yeah, the salt flats, exactly. And so the salt flats of California had a timing association. I think it's called the Southern California Timing Association, and they hired the two Bobs as a publishing agency for a club mag, and that club mag they wanted to make it appealing to people, but they also wanted to be edgy, like modern day gassers.
Here's the Bonneville salt flats.
Oh yeah,
This is Hot Rod Deluxe.
yes.
So a spin-off of Hot Rod Magazine. I'm into rat rods and gassers and ratty old crap. And one is the Bonneville Salt Flats. These guys covered all sorts of lakes racing.
Yeah, right. Which is
Vintage stuff. I mean, one thing that
around the car we
lost with the demise of magazines was history.
total.
I'm not learning anything from the internet anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately, the way that YouTube has gone with the kind of retention strategies of modern videos is there's very little incentive for storytelling or for tradition or even just for details.
Right. And even details, again. If you're not getting it in the 3-minute shorts,
Yeah.
it's hard to... I mean, some people pay attention to technical videos, which is a lot of what I watch, but most people, their history stuff is not in long form. It's all short form. And, it creates a brain reaction where you just don't pay attention to anything anymore.
No. I think that sitting down and reading, of course, is like an ancient and kind of important human thing to do. And so, like, when I got this magazine in the mail recently, this made me sad. This is the last Hemmings Muscle Machines. Definitely historic. This is the last issue, February 1985. And what's on the cover? Of course, Trans Am.
Wow.
So, like, historic racing circuit.
Yeah.
Right? So who's going to remember Trans Am? Are there going to be guys making Trans Am
Cars.
two videos? Yeah, building Trans Am copy.
Street race, or not street race, road course muscle cars.
Yeah, really interesting circuit.
That was That's something I never would have thought about. It wasn't for magazines.
Right. I mean, magazines introduce you to all kinds of things that
All the different motorsports out there, and
Right.
and writers that
Right.
you eventually see on a TV show, and you're like, oh, that guy wrote an article.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, he's good at talking.
I mean, that was Freiberger for me was the guy who wrote the columns in.
And Art's that now it's going to be backwards for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone coming into all this stuff, they're going to go, oh, he was a writer for a magazine? Oh, he's like, yeah. And they're like, he was really good.
Yeah.
So was Mike Finnegan.
Yeah, totally.
You know, so were all these, so Steve Dulcet.
Yeah, right.
And it's
Exactly.
like, oh, yeah, this is where their roots are. And it's like, I was thinking, hey guys, make a new magazine. Publish a new magazine. You guys they came out with Roadkill magazine. Then it had like 4 issues or something.
Yeah, right.
Killed it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's like $5 a month. Make it $10 a month to subscribe to get a magazine. You're never gonna notice wasting $10 a month anyways. And guess what? You get a magical magazine in the mail.
I mean, it's crazy because for a while, and we're going to go through some of our favorites here, like for the price of a month of YouTube Premium, you would get 6 sweet episodes.
Isn't that crazy?
Magazines. Yeah, it was every single month was fun. You never knew what was coming on. You open up your mailbox, you wonder what's going to be on the cover. You hope it's like a make and model that you like, or like articles that you're interested in. And so like that process was so fun and exciting, but over the years it's taken kind of on this like sad, like nostalgic side too, because I found out about this last episode, or this last issue, I should say, of Muscle Machines from the previous issue's letter that I showed Bernie before this. It was just stuck in the magazine. I caged it in here so I don't lose it.
So cool though.
It's crazy. After an amazing 20-year run as a standalone print magazine, we've decided to consolidate Hemmings Muscle Machines into Hemmings Muscle News Magazine. The February 2025 issue will be the last issue published. So it's just crazy that this is like how, like 20 years of automotive enthusiasm. I've been subscribed to this for sure for at least 10 years and probably 15.
Wow.
And it's just this random letter. The last issue, I'm sure, was already made when they sent that letter out.
Totally.
So there's no indication that this is the last magazine. Like you wouldn't know unless you knew.
Right.
So yeah, it's crazy because that's just the latest example of a defunct magazine that it has. We've seen the slow deterioration of automotive publishing since the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's talk about some of the other magazines you have.
I have. Like, I was just thinking about the Discovery Plus subscriber.
Yeah.
I canceled mine because they canceled Roadkill and they canceled all these other shows.
Oh, yeah.
Well, with my subscription canceled, I can't go back and watch all these TV shows. I can't watch every Everyday episode.
No.
Well, if I was paying freaking $5 a month for Dirt Everyday magazine, and I was like, oh, Dan, Red Williams and Dirthead Dave, they were just building the coolest stuff. I gotta show you this. Oh wait, it's on the internet and it's gone for. Unless I reopen a subscription, it's like it's so dumb.
The thing that freaks me out, like with Hot Rod Deluxe or even Hot Rod Magazine, which I mentioned to Bernard, for the first time in its entire history, is now just a quarterly magazine. The thing that freaks me out about that is what is going to actually happen to hot rodding. Like hot rodding as a genre, like as a category of automotive enthusiasm, the idea that you take stock kind of really basic cars like a 32 Roadster,
Right.
and you modify it with an engine, transmission, etc. Like the only way that you can build a community around that is with some shared knowledge.
It's just you make a Facebook page.
Yeah,
There aren't even car meets anymore.
yeah. Well, and that's what's crazy
Yeah.
too, is the magazine came out of a desire to legitimize hot rodding.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that it's really weird that like there's a real danger right now of the auto community just completely fracturing.
It's just weird. I mean, now it's more of like who you know,
Right.
than, oh, I can check out I don't even know what's going on in Minnesota this year other than what's at Brainerd Raceway.
Oh, right.
And I gotta go dive through Facebook instead of opening up Four Wheeler Magazine and go, oh, there's like 4 events in Minnesota and Wisconsin this year.
Yeah, Hot Rod was great about that back in the day, publishing all the big events.
Yeah, I mean, 57 gearhead destinations.
We would sit down and look at that magazine and think about which ones did we want to try to make.
Car museums, drag strips you got to see, best drives and more. I know 2013 Speed World in Phoenix. I don't know if it's in this magazine, but that drag strip's closed. I would love to go check out abandoned enclosed drag strips.
Yeah.
And how am I going to find that out? Probably old car magazines.
Yeah.
Now, for me, growing up, I love monster trucks and off-roading, so my first magazine subscription was Four Wheeler Magazine. Now, like kind of my upbringing, I was into technical stuff, and this magazine is the great debates. What setups work best? Man, I read every word of every article, because some things you page through and you're like, oh, this is nice, but no. IFS, independent front suspension versus solid axle. It's like, oh, what actually makes a difference? And it really makes you want to read.
Right.
And that was a big thing. Like a lot of kids today don't even want to read.
Yeah, well, the thing that I think is a bummer about, like, obviously, there's tons of amazing YouTube channels. This is an automotive YouTube channel. Like, you can learn from YouTube, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. But it's just a different experience.
Well, like
it's a different experience.
I have to go to instead of opening up a magazine. Let's just say I'm looking at the magazine. I'll go, oh man, it would be really nice to look at lockers. Oh wait, TireRack.com has these wheels for sale. Oh, those are nice wheels. Instead, I need to have phone service. I need to have a smartphone, and I need to know which website to go to. And half the websites, you don't know what the heck it is. And in the magazine, you could, like, one thing I loved looking at in grassroots motorsports was all the suspension ads.
Oh yeah. Well, and like, here's an interesting factoid. The way that the Bobs paid for that first club publishing for the Southern California Timing Association magazine, which was named Hot Rod, was by automotive manufacturing and auto parts manufacturers like Edelbrock.
Isn't that crazy?
Sponsoring the magazine.
Right.
So, like, there's been this great relationship of auto parts manufacturers. Even the big guns, like, think about, like, primetime Dodge era,
right,
sponsoring all of these Roadkill Nights events and everything.
I know.
Like, and so
that's hot rodding. Like Dodge comes in and is like, you know what, we're gonna shut down Pontiac Boulevard in Michigan, host a drag race event.
That's so incredible. Oh,
I need to do that.
Yeah, it's so crazy, and like, I think that there was a sense that something special was happening.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like our first episode where we talked about Iola and how Iola is something special.
Yeah.
Because I think that Iola is not going to be the same in 10 years.
No, I mean, everything is going to change, and I just hope it changes for the better. Like, the CarCraft Nationals are now the O'Reilly Auto Parts Summer.
And that's yeah, right, exactly.
And I remember when CarCraft left that, I was like, it will never be the same, and I will stand against it. And it honestly, it hasn't. I mean, it's kind of just taken a step back to the 50s, and
right
before it was CarCraft Nationals were kind of like the bad boys.
Yeah,
that was the bad boys car show.
That was where you were a show.
If you go to that car show, you go eat some dinner, then you street race after that.
You might see a car on fire.
Exactly.
You might see a car getting towed by the police.
You might see 5 brake stands in the lane.
Yeah.
You know, you're not supposed to do brake.
You know you're going to smell rubber.
I used to smell burnout rubber all the time. And then, like, back to the 50s, it's ginormous.
Yeah.
And you can tell, like, it's like going to a state fair.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
exactly.
It's crazy.
And I love Back to the 50s, and I think some of the reasons why Back to the 50s has become as big as it has is because they haven't changed.
Right.
You know, they're trying to really stick with their fundamentals, and the Minnesota Hot Rod Association, which I have in one of those magazines I want to show in a little bit, that's an example of a magazine that literally looks like it's from 1980.
Right.
Like horrible, horrible graphic design, photography taken by a potato,
Right.
articles written by my great grandfather.
Perfect.
I love sitting down and reading. It's such a great magazine.
That's awesome.
It's so much fun. But yeah, here's a magazine that Bernard mentioned that I'm personally just want to highlight as being super influential. Carcraft magazine, and Carcraft, of course, you guys probably know the history better than me. It was first published in '53, and Carcraft for me was really the magazine that gave me like the courage, I guess, to like start modifying my car. 'Cause
Readers' rides.
yeah, readers' rides were so.
I don't need it on Instagram? Wow.
And like, what was so fun with the readers' rides is there was like no shame. Like,
Right.
it was like whatever guys.
There's nobody commenting and going,
Yeah.
oh, I hate your wheels.
Yeah, thumbs down. Yeah, exactly.
Burnout pages. Back when people used to encourage burnouts.
Yeah.
Now every time there's a car meet, it's either turns into, what do they call that? A street shutdown?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, ever.
Or else it's a, there's no log pipes, so there's no fun and there's no burnouts. Mainly because people can't drive anymore. But anyways, like burnout page. Here's a Fox Body Mustang doing like half a burnout. And it's cool.
We would sit down and look at the burnouts and rate the different burnouts and talk about which ones we like.
Right.
And I mean, so it was just like such a the lot of fast real motto was totally like true to the mix.
Well, I'm like, you would see something like Andrew had a 72 Le Mans. You'd see something like that in the eyes, and you're like, oh, a normal person can build a car.
Yes.
Less than $5,000.
It wasn't just about, oh, this is chassis number blah 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 of this Shelby Cobra, and this is a 104, Hemi convertible blah blah blah, and like it was really about the dude on the street who kept his car covered,
Right.
and worked on it, when the sun was out,
Right.
and like that is us.
Yeah.
Like the times that we worked on cars
Right.
were in whatever circumstances.
Whenever you can.
Yeah, we did
Literally now,
we
it's
work on-
whenever you can.
Yeah, I mean, like here, and like that's the thing about the hobby that I think is so cool and so interesting is like we're talking about car magazines in 10 degrees in Minnesota.
Yeah.
We worked on cars on gravel driveways in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
It's just part of the American experience,
Yeah.
And
like it gets so saturated in social media that, you see a guy with a perfect 240SX or a perfect Chevy Nova and it's like, how did you acquire that? And it's like, oh, I only spent $2,000 from the guy that was down the street. And it's like, the fraction of that happening is so little, but the very little algorithms make it seem like, oh, everybody on the block has it. And it's like, in these magazines, like, here's a freaking Suzuki Samurai that's just beat to, oh, that was the F-bomb thing.
The fun thing is gone.
You've seen normal cars like, here's this cool, this is the Summer Nationals cover, and there's a Cobalt SS next to a Z06 car.
Ridiculous. And like, look at how crazy that SD, what is that, Trans Am?
Trans
Like,
Am.
that is like so like for like the current
Yeah.
like muscle car market's in such bad taste.
It's just low, and there's nobody, like, you can't put that car. I put a article of my old 88 Trans Am up, and I'm going to call him out. I shared an article. I had a 1988 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am.
Yep,
Is that a collector car?
of course.
You know what else? You know it's not a collector car? A Dodge Neon.
A Todd's the
Oh, it's collecting Dodge Neons. You know what else people aren't collecting? V6 Mustangs.
Oh, yeah.
Always collecting those.
True.
And no one's collecting yellow Chevy Cavaliers. All those three cars are all in junkyards. And guess what? I paid for that transaction.
Yeah.
With my own money.
Oh yeah. What were you talking about?
Don't worry about that.
Oh yeah, right. Somebody who's watching is just crapping their pants right now.
Yeah. Don't worry. No, they're not bloody wash.
Yeah, all right, great. Well, I think one of the things that you're talking about that's kind of fun is magazines would help you get into a niche within the automotive hobby. And so, like, one magazine that I wanted to share that I was subscribed to for a long time was Mustangs Monthly. And Mustangs Monthly died in 2019, along with like 18 other titles, some of the ones that you were showing, when 10 Publishing shut down.
Right.
It was like Source Interlink Media, and then it was 10, and now it's just like the Motor Trend Network, which just is making Motor Trend and Hot Rod. And like this magazine, for me, was so neat because it was like for enthusiasts by enthusiasts. You know, like it wasn't a high quality magazine. Like these magazines fall apart.
That was the best part about
It felt a little disposable. Unlike a lot of my magazines, the covers fall off. I've sold a lot of these because I'm not just into Mustangs, but like look at this. You open the page. In the doghouse, the right way to install a Dynacore front structure.
Honestly, that
A crazy job to think about doing just following a magazine or
so like that's so important information. Like these CarCraft magazines are like they're thin as a couple of
like
hair.
toilet paper, like there's nothing to them.
They're so important.
Yeah,
Like you and I have so many old magazines that are falling apart that we have post-it notes stuffed in.
oh yeah.
Because it's like, oh, this is really important. Like this is good information I'm gonna need someday.
We were both constantly making notes in our magazine.
I don't even know if I brought one.
You had one already, right? Yeah, where's one with like fit note on it? Like that?
I just pulled this out of a box. And let's see, what's one thing I bookmarked in here? It was the BMW 325 because one of the cars I want is a BMW 325i and this prehistoric version of Megasquirt, which is like an ECU tuning software. And I was like, oh,
Yeah, you're back on it.
so I've been telling myself I need to put Megasquirt in something for 10 years. Right, still haven't done it.
It's crazy because like I'll find notes from you in some of my magazines that are 20 years old.
Right. Like cutting and chiseling tips, which I use.
Yeah,
Like I love them. They help you develop so much. Oh, what the heck is this? A job referral. Not bad, Bernie.
that's hilarious. So yeah, I mean, I just think that magazines like that end up being part of the world you live in when you're an automotive enthusiast.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting is it doesn't take you away from being present to cars. It brings you closer to it. And I mean, videos and social media can do that, but there's also a way that it can just absorb you and distract you. Whereas a magazine, like you might bring that out to your garage. Like I can't tell you, you probably have wrecked more phones than mine working on cars. I've wrecked 2 phones working on cars, trying to like watch a how-to video, and then like I put it face down and now the screen's ruined.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same as a magazine.
Right. Or a manual. Like I was actually tempted to bring over some manual books because our screen shuts off.
Oh yeah. Yeah, weird.
Anyways, video sit like on the screen cap, and like I'm working on a Polaris 4-wheeler, and I have to swipe the screen. You really want to swipe a screen with oily gloves? Yeah. But would I care if it was a service manual? You know what the best service manuals are? 31.
Yeah, right.
I mean, someone's used it before, and you can page through. You go, oh, it's right there.
Tried and true.
Like, I had an Articat, and it had an online service manual, and it was like copies of the actual pages. And it's like, man, I would kill to just have a binder just of this book because it's so interesting.
Yeah, I have a whole shelf of old manuals over there, and I think the thing is that it's kind of like the cultures downstream of the industry, and so like right now we're in a weird point, and we're gonna probably make a separate episode with this where it's getting harder and harder to work on cars.
Yeah.
And it's getting harder and harder to do anything but make payments on a car if you're excited about it.
Yeah.
It's very hard to buy a car outright these days because it's so expensive. And then maintenance and getting parts for things. Like this is what you're running into right straight away at your Mazda speed.
Right.
Like all of your parts are working out perfectly, right?
No.
Not even close. And so it's crazy because I think one of the things that the magazine culture kind of was an indication of was a healthy relationship between the manufacturers and the auto enthusiasts. And that's what made the automotive industry so quintessential, like American. Is this idea you can discover yourself, you can discover your ability to work on things, and you can discover your community by working on the cars.
That was a huge thing for me growing up was like you got to do something to your car and then enjoy it with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the camaraderie and the team building and doing and just hanging out in the garage
Oh yeah.
and staring at your car and being like, I wonder what would happen if we got these brakes. And you're like, yeah. Like roll of wheel fits the wheel. AutoZone used to sell Hawk brake pads.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I know one of the brake pads because I warped my rotors on a drag strip.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, dang, I really need to upgrade my brakes. And I went to AutoZone and they were like, yep, $22 for front brake pads. And I'm like, sorry, yeah. That was 2010. But I wouldn't have known about Hawk brake pads if it wasn't for Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, Hot Rod Carcraft, all these automotive magazines pumping up these high performance parts. I would have just bought Duralast package.
Yeah.
And never known about it.
Well, like one of these, while Bernard's down here, I want to talk a little bit more about some other magazines that I really like. This is Muscle Car Review. Muscle Car Review, this is a funny one because it was previously called Popular Performance Car Review. And like the deal with Muscle Car Reviews, they tried to do more like kind of like day two mods. So like, okay, like here's a guy, fast racing, factory appearance, stock tire racing was very popular with these guys because your car would look and you could roll up to like a performance, like go to the
Strip section.
yeah, and they would think, oh, okay, so this is just a stock, whatever.
Insane.
Like here's like look at this, like improve your drums.
Yeah.
Like that's
No
crazy.
one talks about it.
Not information that people are googling.
Even small muscle car YouTubers, they're all ditching drums. So for somebody, somewhere, pumping that up is great.
You remember these ads, the ground up ads? I love these ads because, like, what's in this ad here? What your Chevelle SS is usually
68.
Yeah, 68 Chevelle SS missing as well is like something in these days that you could like actually go and like buy.
So
Like find some.
hilarious. There's a 68 Charger on Facebook right now. It looks so horrible. And the guy literally says, 9,500, I know what I got. Half of the car is rusted away. He's like, it rolls. That makes it worth more. And I'm like, no, maybe, but 68 Charger?
Well, and like this magazine was cool too because it wasn't just about the most premium models. You know, it wasn't just the highest performance ones. And so like you could do things like, okay, I've got a stock 68 Camaro. It's not an SS, it's not an RS, whatever. Well, what can we do to like make the suspension better? Well, like they would talk to you about that. And it was just kind of sad because like another magazine that I really loved along those lines, this is Pontiac, High Performance Pontiac.
Yeah.
Which interesting fact about this magazine, and I was never, this is one of the magazines I have a collection of that I was never subscribed to because it was discontinued by the time I was into Pontiacs. It was discontinued in 2014 when Source Interlink Media collapsed. But here's the crazy part.
That's a long time ago.
Do you know when Pontiac got shut down, like the automaker?
In high school, didn't it?
Yeah, 2010.
Wow.
So like this magazine continued to exist 4 years after Pontiac itself.
That's hilarious.
So like,
I mean, the enthusiasts are still alive and well.
right. Well, and like what's crazy is I bought these magazines, interestingly enough, off of a Pontiac enthusiast Facebook page.
No way.
Yeah, Pontiac Midwest Connection, which is a great group by all.
Oh, yeah. Great.
And like, look at what's in here. Like look at this. Like these are not magazine cars. Like, what is this? I don't even know. Is this a Grand Am?
Yeah, that's a grand.
Yeah. So like, some dude is doing a Grand Am.
Or I made a whatever drag.
Yeah, right. Yeah, who knows what this is? So like, this is a great example. Like, I bought these magazines because when they came up for sale, I thought I'm never gonna have an opportunity to buy these in person ever. Like I lost my chance because I was getting into Pontiacs after the the kind of sun had set already on Pontiac.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because the people that are controlling the publication of these magazines were just these giant media conglomerate publishers that had no interest in the automotive hobby except for the fact that it was part of their investment portfolio.
Like Discovery Plus. So
Exactly. Oh my gosh, yeah, exactly. Sad luck. It was just such a bummer. And then like I was showing Bernard this one. This is one of my old favorites. When Source Interlink Media sold in 2014, a whole bunch of magazines went away, but my favorite that I remember losing was Popular Hot Riding. We have cars on the cover here that would be totally unobtainable.
Roger car makeovers. Give me a break.
Like, it was crazy to think that, I mean, I remember reading this magazine in 07 and thinking like, oh, maybe I could find a
L Malibu, even a Torino. I have a picture of a Torino from like 2020. It's $8,500. Now, to some, that might sound like a budget project car, but if it's $8,500 and it's not running and driving, I'm not buying it.
Look at this Fairlane. Like they had a perfectly good stock Fairlane that then they made into a street rod.
Right.
And like, that is not allowed anymore.
No.
Like, if you found that Fairlane, like you'd have to like
Well, you could
go it
double
on
man.
man. Yeah, you could. Like, that's the problem with the commodification of muscle cars is, or like, here's something that like Camaro is this. That's not
88 or
78
80 or something.
Who's building 78 Camaros? Clean 78 Camaros.
Right. They're all what was the rotten one they built on Hot Rod Garage, which I don't even know if you can see that car.
Well, and I wonder, like, just like guys are scraping together these old magazines and trying to watch them, I have a feeling kind of like the old Talk years, like eventually this stuff has got to come to the surface.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, but when? Like, how many years are we going to have to wait for Roadkill to just be on YouTube?
Back on YouTube.
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's
so
what
tough.
Like, I mean, it will be 10 years. Like, when is that going to happen? I don't understand that. No one knows.
What's not crazy is like there were so many. Another channel is Hoonigan.
Yeah.
After all the crew split up, all they did was like racing comparisons. What's gonna happen? Everybody's gonna forget about their random small channels or side quests they had on that channel, and our kids are never gonna hear about that unless we show that.
I used to show my oldest son Leo, who's 14, the Gymkhanas every time they came up.
Right.
And then just one day, like, I had to tell them they're done.
Yep.
Like, that was so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, so yeah, I think that, like, if you have a magazine that you can still get, you should subscribe to it. Here's one that's local that I love. This is Line Chasers. This is the one I was ripping on. It's the official publication of the Minnesota Street Rod Association. And they've been in publication now for 53 years. This is a 50th anniversary one, which I thought was cool. But if you open it up, like, what's this? It's just like random photos from our show.
Yep.
And like models. So this is cool. Yeah, like the modeling scene is another like big scene that like my son Leo's won recently, and he loves models. I'd love to do an episode on models on this channel. And like, here's another funny thing that we're talking about: listings.
Yeah.
From local members.
Right.
So like, that's different.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, like, if I was like, oh wow, this dude's got a 33 3-window Chevy, and it's 20 miles from me.
Right.
Like, you would like find and discover side in the back of these, which, compared to what you get in Hemmings now, this is like the example of everything wrong with magazines, if you ask me.
Sure.
Because it's a Lotus, Porsche, Bronco, Miata,
Porsche 944 and a Triumph.
Yeah.
Right back in the
Yamaha motorcycle, and a Ford Thunderbird SC.
Super cool.
Like, this is like putting every ingredient you have in your fridge into one stock pot.
That's a magazine I take out of the shelf. I go, Super Coupe. I'm going to open it up and I look at the Super Coupe and then I close it.
Close it. You don't want to read about a 1937 Cord 812?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
I'll be the dealer.
All the ads are it's these garbage dealer ads that, I mean, buy from a dealer, like, which.
Oh, yeah, I don't, like, that's another thing. Classifieds used to be something else. And now it's call for price. super skyrocketed things, and it's like,
One of one, rare. I know what I
I
am.
don't care. Yeah, I don't care. It's about like a mint 98 Mustang V6. So, man's trying to buy that for $12,000. Right?
And it does trickle down to the enthusiasts because, like, I'm sure we're gonna get footage at the next Iola of the sales corner there. What's it called again?
Car corral?
Car corral. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, I bet Rolla. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, we'll go to car corral and we'll see the effect of the kind of way that the collector market has shifted, and you'll see some like completely unremarkable car selling for $12,000.
there was a Thunderbird last year a lady wanted $10,000 for. Obviously didn't sell. But every square body Chevy that was like 12 grand or less, they all sold. It was nuts to me. Like long beds, short beds. And I was just thinking, like, even local newspapers, when they had classifieds, that was the first thing I looked at every Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what's for sale?
We would literally buy cars in the classifieds in the newspaper.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I forgot about that. I remember we would
Sort of the grocery.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Going to the grocery store and getting the free car dealer magazines, because car dealerships, number one, used to be affordable.
Oh yeah.
You'd be like, oh, well, this Acura CL Type S is $995. Like, oh, well, let's go take a look at that. I would find piles of junk. I'd look at it and go, oh, this car is $1,200. I could totally break this and they wouldn't be mad. And then I go test drive it. I drove the worst Porsche 944 at a dealership in Crystal, Minnesota. And I couldn't tell if it was like engine shine or oil leaks. But I found it because of the free car magazine, the classified magazine, and the Cub Foods grocery store. Dunlow Motors, I think, was selling it back in the day.
Oh yeah. Double. Yeah, that's great.
I took that car out for a drive, and I'm like, man, this thing is a pile of crap.
That's hilarious.
Back, and they're like, what are you thinking of? No, great car, fine.
Yeah. Bye bye. Did you know that when I turned 16, Dad asked me what I wanted to do for my birthday? And I said I wanted to go test drive cars.
Oh, really?
And we went to Crystal, where there's a bunch of tiny dealerships, and we test drove a Jaguar V12.
No way.
Yeah, an 80s Jaguar V12.
Yes.
And I remember Dad was driving, and he goes, "I'm flooring it." And he goes, "This engine's a dog." And then there was a Saab convertible. I'm like, "I've never been in a Saab. Do you want to test drive?" He goes, "That's a Saab story."
Yeah.
So like he was so bored because there were no cool cars, and he knew that like he couldn't ask to drive a Corvette. Like,
But nowadays,
yes,
he's like, yeah, you can.
yeah, exactly right. So that's another story. Cars we've test driven. That'll be a funny one.
Can I share one really quick?
Okay, yeah,
I can
yeah, yeah.
birthdays. So my buddy's birthday was 18 birthday before mine. And we went out, and the Highway 10 runs through Ramsey, and they have a bunch of low budget dealers. He finds a LS1 Camaro with white with flames and like drag radials and exhaust. It was an automatic, but still it was LS1 Camaro, and we're like, yeah, we're test driving this. So we get out on Highway 10. Like, oh, that car is sweet.
Oh yeah.
And then my 18th birthday comes along. There is nothing. Remember I get test drive? A Volvo C70 coupe. So the two-door Volvo 5-cylinder.
Oh,
They
no.
had like horrible turbo lights. So you floor it, and the car just goes. And it's like, because of lag was so bad, it was like, is it fast? And it's like, no. It's just a little normal car. Because it feels like a sack moment by the wind. Yeah, when I'm rolling down a hill on a bike, like without pedaling, that's what it felt like. It's like,
Yeah, that's so funny. But so yeah, well, I mean, I just think the story of car magazines is, the enthusiast hobby is bigger than you realize, and if we can't enjoy car magazines the way we used to, we can at least make our own stories,
right.
and that's what we're trying to do here on the channel. So if you enjoyed this episode, like, please subscribe.
Yeah.
We really are grateful for our new subscribers, and leave us a thumbs up too, because we're trucking, man. This is episode 4. That's crazy.
Ben, I'll be honest. I mean, I knew it was cold, and I knew Andrew wasn't going to be ready, and I'm like, what?
I was close to ready.
We'll do it.
The definition of courage is doing something you don't like you like it.
It was so funny because I was not ready for this episode until I started grabbing magazines, and I'm like, oh man, I freaking love magazines so much. Like, I have a box that just says magazines, books, and crap in my garage, and I pulled it down, and on the bottom was, where is it? My hands are frozen.
Oh yeah,
Compacts and
oh, it's so good.
and there was Sport Compact hardback.
I love that one.
What was the other one with the chicks?
Turbo?
Was it Turbo?
I don't know.
Chicks on. There was like
or something. Yeah,
import teamer.
yeah, import.
And I always would see it in the store, and I'd be like, "Oh, I wouldn't like that one."
I remember who would cut.
She wouldn't even cut the page out. She just cut the body out of the.
That's like their ghost sit the page. Yeah, I just rip it out.
But like this has on the front. It's a freaking Mitsubishi FTO.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
What happened to the J
Gran Turismo.
I mean, the JDM scene, the Fast and Furious.
It's all drift now.
It's
All
crazy.
drift. There isn't even stance hardly anymore. I almost wish stance would make a little bit of come to say it.
Hate.
Something just a vocal. Your car sucks. You ruined an LS400.
You do a burnout.
Yeah, you're like, hey.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like PG-13. Like,
They got a slammed GT3 Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah.
And then you have
Volkswagen.
knockoff chick from Need for Speed on there. Yeah, here's a Dart Honda GSX cylinder head. Like,
crazy.
you would talk crap about Hondas, and you'd read an article and just be like, whoa, these cars can make 500 wheel horsepower. And it's like, like, that's another thing. Like, you find common ground.
Oh yeah.
Because back in the day, you have like, oh, I'm a Dodge guy. Yeah, this guy, that guy. And then you read these magazines, and I'm one of those people that totally throws shade at cars. Yeah, and I'd go to a car meet and be like, oh, that's an Eagle Talon TSI. Those are basically all gone.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I actually followed a lady one day. It was an old lady. I was a field service.
She had little cars.
She had an Eagle Talon TSI. Nah, she was just hot. No, she was driving an Eagle Talon TSI. Perfect condition.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And she finally caught on when she got into her parking spot. So I'm driving a white service van. Huge Circa. And I pull in, and she like grabs her purse and like pulls it close and walks into the store. And I didn't follow her. And another guy like got out of his car and looked at me, and I was just like, look at this Eagle Talon. And you just like, what?
It's a brother hobby for sure to send pictures of the cars that we see out on the road. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that kind of experience of seeing a cool car in real life or seeing a car that you saw in a magazine in real life. Yeah, when you see a Ring Brothers car in real life,
Right.
it's like, I can't believe that I'm standing next to it.
Like, if it wasn't for our uncles, how would we hear about the Iola Car Show?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that would have had to be in a magazine somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yep.
like Car Crop. When I'd see an article about the Car Crop Nationals or the O'Reilly's Nationals in the magazine, like, oh, I have to go to that.
Yeah.
Oh, they have autocross. I need to go.
Sometimes it would even be like, oh, that car's gonna be there. Like,
Oh yeah,
Mike Musto's Daytona, the Angrier or whatever that was called, the all flat black one. Like, it's like, oh, Mike Musto's gonna be here with his car.
so I met him at the Roadkill Zip Tie Drags.
That's awesome.
And another thing that they changed now to the duct tape drags, that Freiburg Girls actually ended up hosting because Roadkill killed it. But I didn't know what to think of Mike Musto because he's like a Italian, Jersey dude. Nicest guy on the planet. It's like, you're like, I'm going to read every article you write for all time. But he's such an enthusiast. Like, that's one thing. He's just such a natural enthusiast. And like magazines.
Yeah.
Ike Musto,
Yeah.
writer.
Yeah, right.
Great guy.
Journalist. Yeah, it's so cool. But anyway, well, guys, we're really glad to have you here for another episode of Lang's Garage. Tune in next week for a warmer episode at Birdie's Place. And yeah, like I said, give us a thumbs up and subscribe.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, so cool.
Uh,
My cans are frozen.